Good morning, boys and girls. It's Miss Lisa, the art teacher. Welcome back to my table of art. How is everyone doing? I hope you've all seen the snow and got to feel and touch it and maybe even play in it. I know I did because I love the snow and I also love the nice cold weather. But believe me, I would prefer a hot sunny beach any day. But I do appreciate the snow and I love that we may be having a white Christmas. So long as it doesn't melt away and the rain doesn't wash it away. But so far it looks pretty good. Maybe. But, listen. It's almost Christmas. So anybody that's celebrating Christmas, you have 2 more days. And anybody celebrating Kwanzaa, you have 3 more days. I believe it starts on the 26th. And we also have the Chinese New Year. And it's going to be the year of the ox. That's a big, strong animal, which means we're going to come back in 21 nice and strong. Let's hope everything goes well, because I miss you guys and I want to be together. But until then, I'll just be on this video saying hello and imagining that you're in front of me. And I can see all your smiling faces in my mind. I hope you're doing the same. Well, you could see me at least, but I can't see you. You should send me a video so I could see you guys. That would be fair. I would love that. Anyway, for our last day of art before the new year, I'm going to make it plain and simple. We're going to do a step-by-step winter landscape, and I've sent you a step-by-step guide. This is so easy, but there is so much in this lesson that you're learning that you don't even know. You know that there's elements of art and there's principles of design. The elements of art are our building blocks in learning about art. We have our elements, which is our line, our shape, our color, our form, our texture, our elements. There's 7 elements of art. And then the principle of design is how those elements interact in your artwork. And I'll give you an example. Well, you know what? Let's start the lesson and I'll explain as we go along. If you can grab the sheet that I sent to you, and we're going to start with the first box. This is my sheet of paper. The first box is showing that they drew some curvy kind of lines. These are going to be the snowbanks. Why would they be soft, curvy lines? Well, because the snow falls gently on the ground and just creates like a natural curve to it. There's no geometric shapes or zigzags and things like that. It's more of a soft sloping curve. So that's what we're going to do on the bottom third of our paper. So you figure if you divide your paper into 3 parts, 1, 2, 3, imagine those dots went all the way across. The bottom third is where we're going to start with our curvy snowdrifts, or snowbanks as they call them in the picture. So let me draw mine first, or you could draw yours too. Very simple. See that? Nothing complicated. Doesn't have to be exactly like the picture. The next thing they did is they drew the tree trunks for the trees. Now I want you to notice at the base of the tree where it starts at the snowbanks is wider. But as it goes up off the top of the paper, it gets more narrow. And that's because as a tree grows, it's wider on the bottom, but more narrow on the top. And the fact that it's going right off the top of the paper, it's giving the viewer, the person looking at your picture or your painting, the impression that it continues. Your painting continues off the canvas. So it's a nice illusion. So let's add our trees, but I want you to take note. We have 1 tree on its own on the left side and 2 trees that are closely spaced on the right side of the paper. That's an important factor to learn or to notice. So my first tree is on the left side of my paper and it's a little close to the edge. And I'm bringing my first trunk up. Notice it's wider on the bottom, more narrow on the top. And if I divided my paper in half, it's on the left side, close to the edge. Now I'm going to draw the other 2 on the right side of my paper. And remember, they're going right off the paper. Okay? So I have one on the left and I have two on the right. Imagine the paper is divided. So far, we've actually used an element of art, which is line. We drew our lines. We have curvy lines and we have straight lines. There you go. It's an element of art. Now, right now, well, I don't want to give you that one yet. Okay, now the next frame, they're adding branches. So let's just start adding branches to our tree, which is really very simple. You can make your branches any way you want, but we don't want to leave it straight like that because we want to give it that illusion that it's got thickness, density, there's dimension to it. And that's how we draw the illusions of branches coming off the branch that are more three-dimensional. Do you see that? This is how we're creating the illusion of, well, it's still not the illusion of form, but we have a shape. We now have a shape of a tree, which is an element of art. If I added shading and texture, I might create a form, which is a three-dimensional shape, but this is just a two-dimensional shape. It's flat on my paper. Even though we're giving it an illusion that there's branches that come out, I need to add more to it to really give it the element of form. Now let's go to the other trees and we'll add some branches there. And you don't have to do exactly how the branches are on the picture. You could create any kind of branches you want. And the branches are the same as the trunk. They're wider towards the base of the tree, but they get thinner as it goes away from the tree. Okay? How you guys doing? All right, now, the next thing we see is they add a moon. Notice where they place the moon. It's closer to the single tree. Not dead center, but it's closer. So let's put our moon up in the sky. Oops, I made mine a little too big. If you make it too big, erase it. If you make it too small, make it bigger. But you know what? You can make it whatever size you want. This is your picture. All right, now, look at that. Even though I have two trees on one side of my picture, I now have a tree and a moon on the other side. And that's what we call balance. This balances out my composition being my drawing. When you're creating art, you want the person to look at your image and have it balanced. If everything's all on one side of the picture, it's not balanced. You want to create the illusion that everything is nice and evenly balanced. And they do that by shapes and colors. There's all different tricks on how to show balance. Even in an abstract art, there's balance. But we're not discussing abstract now because that's really complicated. I love abstract art. Okay, so now we have a principle of design, which is balance. Okay, we have our moon, we have our trees, we have our snowbanks. The next thing they do is they're coloring in the trees. Why are they coloring in the trees black? Because as the moon shines behind them, that moon is behind them. That's why the moon needed to be a little smaller. The illusion that it's way back. The trees are more in the front, closer to us. So if the moon is shining on the other side of these trees, we're only seeing the silhouette of the trees. So imagine if you're looking outside your front door, but you're in the house a little bit back away from the door. And then somebody stands in front of that door. And you have the bright light from the sun behind them, and you're facing that person in the doorway. You really can't see that person because your eyes are getting all confused because the light is stopping you from focusing on them because all the light is on the other side of the person and all you're seeing is a dark silhouette of them in the doorway. This is the same idea. The moon is behind the trees and we're only seeing the dark side because the brightness is behind the tree. So take a black marker or a black crayon and really try to press hard if you're using a crayon and color in your trees black, okay? I'm using these markers so I'm not sure Oh yeah, I have a black one. I could do that. So I'm going to color mine in and you color yours in. All right? We're only doing the silhouette of the trees. All black. Again, because the trees are closer to us, the moon is set behind them, creating only the silhouette because the light is shining on the other side of the tree. So I'm coloring my trees in completely with black, and I hope you're doing the same. This is such a easy and educational basic landscape, and I love this. I really love this. I wish I was with you kids, really getting into this art with you, but I don't know. All right, so I've got the dark silhouette. Look at the contrast right away. Contrast, that's another principle of design. The contrast between the black of the silhouette of the trees and the white of the night sky. But in our image, we are using blue, which is still contrast. So here's our trees, the silhouettes, because the light is shining behind the tree. So let me ask you, if the light is shining behind the tree, well, what do you think is going to be in front of the tree that we could see? Of course, a shadow. The moon, just like a sun, is casting a shadow on the trees. Just like if I was standing outside and the sun was shining on me, I would cast a shadow behind me. So the moon is in front of these trees, so the cast shadow is going to be behind the trees. Now this is how you know how to draw your shadow, okay? Here is my moon and here is my tree. If you want to draw an imaginary line from the moon to the base of the tree, oops, I'm sorry, I'm doing this without looking. So let me try it from this angle. Let me draw it first, okay? And then I'll show you. Because you want to know what direction you're going to make your shadow go. Okay, so the moon is shining right in this direction. So this is the direction that my shadow is going to go as well. Right from the tree, okay? So I'll do the first one so I could show you. And this is also good because if you're having a marker, I'm going to show you how to create your shadow. Okay, so I don't want to color my shadow all the way in because it's not going to be as dark as the silhouette of the tree, but it is going to be a faint, maybe grayish. So I only have my black marker. I don't have a gray one. So I'm going to use a technique called hatching and cross hatching to create my shadow. So the shadow is coming, sorry, my tree. I erased some of my tree. It comes from the base of the tree. The moon is shining on the tree, creating a shadow. You keep it in the same direction. If you have a gray crayon or a gray marker, use that to create your shadow because the shadow is lighter than the dark black of the silhouette, which again is contrast. Not a high contrast, but it is a contrast between the dark black and the gray of the shadow. And now if we go on the other side, these shadows are going to be completely the opposite direction. See how I'm doing this? Go to the middle of the moon, the sun, that's the moon, I'm sorry, and go to the base of the tree and see the angle. Here's the angle. Go to the other tree, there's that angle. So I'm going to draw mine now, my shadows, and you do the same. Okay, this is how I used as a guide. I took the middle of the moon, I went to the middle of the base, and I made a line. So now I know that I'm going to make a line as wide as the base following this guideline. Okay? That makes it a little bit easier, okay? And I'm going to use my cross hatching. Hatching is using lines to create some value, different value changes, or shadow in this case. So I'm not going to color it in. I don't have a gray marker, but I want to create that shadow, which is lighter than the dark silhouette of the tree, but still dark enough that there's a shadow. So I made a line going in one direction. Now I'm going to cross hatch, which is a line going the opposite direction. This is very hard to do upside down. All right, I'm going to do it in a little section here so you can see better. There's lines, and now if I go in the opposite direction, now I'm cross hatching. The first line is hatching, the second line is cross hatching. So I'm creating my shadow using hatching and cross hatching. So let me do my other shadow. Okay, there we go. Now, the last step is to create your I had my coffee. I don't know why I can't get the words out. You want to color in your sky. If you want to make a nice winter sky with snow, then you're going to have to color leaving spots for the snow, or what's the easier way? I'd say maybe just, you know what I would like to do? I'm going to tell you what I did. I took a wax crayon, a white wax crayon, and I colored in the moon, completely white. So now I have that wax surface on the moon. Then I made all little dots like snow with my white crayon. And after I was done with that, I used watercolor. And I painted right over my trees, right over my moon, right over my snowflakes. But I didn't touch the bottom. I left that white with the shadows. And what do you think would happen when I used watercolor over the waxy surface of the crayon? Nothing. The water rolled right over it, and only the color of the sky came out. And you know what? I have a sample right behind me, so let me show you. Hold on. Let me go get it. I'm going to put you on pause. Okay. See what I was saying? These are all wax little dots I made with a white crayon. I colored in the moon with the white crayon, and then I took watercolor and I painted over the trees, but I didn't touch the snow. Here's my cast shadows. Here's the contrast between the dark black of the silhouette of the trees and the gray of the shadow. It's not a high contrast, but it's a contrast. You have a high contrast between the black of the silhouette trees and the white. That's a high contrast. This is a medium contrast. And then you have the beautiful night sky. You can make that as blue as you want, as light as you want, and you get a beautiful winter landscape. How'd you like that? This was really educational, wasn't it? I loved this project. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I hope you enjoy your holiday, spending time with your family. I know we've been home for a while, but sometimes when you're celebrating a holiday, it kind of changes up the idea of being home with everybody. Let's just really take in the whole holiday, enjoy every moment of it. Think about next year, the year of the ox, how we're going to come back nice and strong, and we're going to be together. So just hang in there. Have a great holiday. Have a great New Year celebration. I miss you, and I hope to see you all soon. All right, boys and girls, this is Miss Lisa, your art teacher that adores and misses you. And I say ciao for now from my table of art. Happy holidays, kids. Bye-bye.